The string quartet played something light and elegant, the kind of music people pretend to enjoy when their hearts are pounding for entirely different reasons. I stood near the edge of the ballroom, my hand resting lightly on my clutch, pretending not to notice the stares. The satin of my navy dress caught the light. The perfume I'd chosen, white jasmine, felt suddenly too strong. My smile was polite, practiced. Across the room, my brother Ethan adjusted his tie, laughing beside his new bride, Vanessa. Perfect couple. Perfect wedding. Perfect family photo. I wasn't part of anymore. And that's when I felt it, Lily's small hand gripping my arm. Her voice was barely a whisper, trembling against the music. "Mom, we have to get out." For a moment, I thought she was just overwhelmed. The noise, the crowd, the glittering strangers. But then I saw her eyes flick toward the head table, toward Vanessa's mother, and the woman's narrowed gaze trained directly on us. A chill ran through me. 8 years of distance, and yet here I was again, standing in the same world that once shut me out. My heartbeat synced with the orchestra's rhythm, steady, suffocating. I took a slow breath, tasting both fear and something far stronger, restraint. Because walking into this wedding wasn't a mistake. It was a test. And whether my brother knew it or not, I'd come prepared. It's strange how memories don't fade, they wait. Quietly, patiently. All it takes is one song, one glance, and they come back like a tide you can't fight. For me, it started 8 years ago, the night Ethan announced his engagement to Vanessa. We were all in my father's living room then, the fireplace crackling, the air filled with the smell of cedar and tension. Vanessa sat beside him, flawless as always, every hair in place, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. "Rachel," she'd said sweetly, "I hope you'll be at the wedding. Family means everything to Ethan." Before I could answer, my father cleared his throat, that tone that always meant "Don't make this about you." "Actually," he said, eyes steady on me, "we should talk about you, Rachel. About your situation." My situation. The room blurred for a second, but I stayed still. He meant Lily, the daughter I had chosen to raise alone. The man who left us. They never forgave me for that. Not for loving the wrong person. Not for refusing to hide the proof of it. Vanessa folded her hands in mock sympathy. "It's just complicated, you know? For family appearances." I remember my voice shaking as I said, "You mean I shouldn't come?" No one spoke. The fire popped, and I swear, the silence was louder than the flames. Ethan avoided my eyes. My father looked away. My mother, she tried to speak, but stopped herself, the weight of obedience keeping her quiet. So I stood. My legs trembled, but I smiled anyway. "Don't worry," I said softly. "You won't have to hide me." That night, I packed what I could into my old car. Lily was barely a newborn. I remember fastening her tiny blanket around her and whispering, "It's okay, baby. They don't get to decide who we are." As I turned the key and pulled away from that house, something inside me broke, but something else woke up too. On the passenger seat, my mother's bracelet caught the light, the one she slipped into my hand before I left. "When they shut you out," she'd whispered, "don't knock. Build your own door." And I did. Leaving my family behind wasn't easy, but the night I drove away with Lily in my arms, I knew I had no choice. I didn't just need to survive, I had to thrive. The first months were brutal. My apartment was small, walls bare, the heater rattling in winter. Lily's laughter was the only warmth I had. I worked nights at a cafe, mornings delivering resumes, afternoons cramming for certifications I barely understood. Every coin was counted, every sleep stolen. But every night, when Lily fell asleep with her tiny hand curled around mine, I reminded myself, we are building something they can't take from us. Then came Rachel's first breakthrough. Her mentor, Clara Bennett, a seasoned event planner with a sharp eye and sharper tongue, noticed my work at a small boutique wedding. "You have an instinct, Rachel," she said one evening over lukewarm coffee. "Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." She became my guide, my reality check, and, most importantly, my cheerleader. Long nights blurred into early mornings. I learned budgets, contracts, negotiations. I faced rejection, clients choosing bigger names, competitors undermining me, landlords threatening to raise rent. Self-doubt crept in, whispering the words I once heard at home, "You'll never be enough." But each small win was fuel. My first profitable event, a birthday party for a local philanthropist, gave me confidence. Then a corporate launch event, and then a small wedding that caught the eye of a magazine editor. Slowly, quietly, Rachel Moore became someone people sought out. All the while, I hid my growth from my family. My Facebook posts were vague, my LinkedIn minimal. I didn't need their recognition. I didn't need Vanessa's smug congratulations or Ethan's forced smiles. Lily watched me transform too. She learned what resilience looked like, how to laugh through exhaustion, to speak up, to protect herself. 5 years passed and we flourished. Our apartment became an office, our office became a studio, and eventually, a company, my company. Weddings, corporate events, private galas. Each one a testament that I hadn't just survived. I had built a world they never imagined I could. And now, as I walked into Ethan's wedding, I carried all of it. My daughter, my success, my dignity. They had no idea who they were about to meet. The ballroom shimmered with golden light, chandeliers reflecting 1,000 tiny stars. Guests clinked glasses, laughed at inside jokes, and posed for photographs. I stood near the back, Lily's hand firmly in mine, and let the illusion of composure mask the storm underneath. Ethan spotted me first. His smile faltered. Vanessa noticed next, her perfect posture stiffening ever so slightly. Whispers rippled through their circle. Rachel Moore. She's here. They assumed I'd be the same girl they left behind, struggling, polite, swallowed by life. I let them assume. Lily tugged at my sleeve again, sensing my heartbeat quicken. "Mom, are we going to be okay?" I knelt, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "We're more than okay," I whispered. "We're about to change the game." I walked forward, heels clicking on marble, every step measured, every breath calm. Their murmurs followed me like shadows. I paused at the edge of the crowd, letting them take in what they hadn't expected. The tailored navy dress that cost more than their brunch reservations, the Cartier watch peeking from my wrist, the subtle confidence that radiated without arrogance. "Rachel." Ethan's voice was a mix of disbelief and something like guilt. Vanessa's lips parted, a forced smile that didn't reach her eyes. I let a beat stretch. Let them fidget, let them squirm in the discomfort they had perfected years ago. And then I spoke. Calm, precise. "This wedding," I said, sweeping my gaze over the venue, the staff, the tables. "It's mine." Ethan blinked. Vanessa's jaw tightened. "Excuse me?" I smiled. A quiet, victorious smile. "Every detail, every flower, every menu, every single thing you see, it's all under my company. My events, my staff, my contracts. This ballroom? Purchased by one of my investors. My name is on the papers. My vision runs this day." The crowd began to murmur. Some of Ethan's friends whispered behind their hands. Vanessa's hand went to her chest, as if to protect her ego. Ethan opened his mouth, but no words came. My father's hand twitched at his side. My mother's eyes widened, silent disbelief mirrored in the reflection of the chandelier. I didn't gloat. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I just let them see it. Let them see the woman they thought they knew, confident, in control, unshakable. "Years ago," I continued softly, "you told me I wouldn't be enough, that I'd fail, that my choices would define me as less than family." I let a brief pause linger, letting those words settle. Well, here I am. And this time, I'm defining myself. The shock on their faces was almost beautiful. Not cruelly, just the raw, unfiltered recognition that the girl they once dismissed had become someone they couldn't ignore. Lily squeezed my hand. Her eyes shone with pride. I leaned down and whispered, "See? We told them we'd be okay." After the initial shock wore off, the room felt heavier. Ethan, Vanessa, and even my parents stood there, uncertain. For the first time in years, I held the upper hand, not through anger, not through revenge, but simply by existing on my own terms. I straightened, Lily's hand still in mine, and let my voice carry over the murmurs. "We need to be clear about one thing," I said.
Calm.
Firm. "This isn't about revenge. It's about accountability for all of us." Ethan swallowed, nodding slightly, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. Vanessa's eyes narrowed, unsure whether she should challenge me. My father's jaw tightened, my mother's fingers twisted together nervously. "Ethan," I began, "you need to recognize the way you dismissed me. The way you sided with appearances over family. If you want a relationship with Lily and me going forward, it has to change. You need to be honest with yourself, with her, and with me. No excuses. No pretending." Ethan's face paled, but he nodded again. "To Vanessa," I continued, "you may have believed that standing above me made you stronger. It didn't. If you want to be part of our lives, you need to treat us with respect, not suspicion. Empathy, not judgment." Then I turned to my father. "You always wanted to control outcomes instead of supporting us. You'll need to drop old habits, the silent judgments, the comparisons. And Mother," I looked at her softly, "I know you love us both, but enabling silence isn't love. You have to speak, even when it's uncomfortable." I paused. The room was quiet. Lily's eyes shone with hope and trust, and I realized something. This wasn't punishment. It was teaching. It was setting a new standard for relationships that could survive the truth. "Finally," I said, voice steady, "Lily needs to know we are safe. We are strong. She will not witness toxic cycles. And if that requires distance, we will take it. But we can grow together, only if we commit to change." There was a tension, yes, but also a subtle release. They could feel that the old patterns no longer controlled the room. I wasn't begging. I wasn't pleading. I was inviting them to rise to a higher version of themselves or step aside. I glanced down at Lily and smiled. She squeezed my hand, and I knew she understood. Our lives were no longer dictated by past mistakes. For the first time, I chose who could be part of our world, and on what terms. Power, I realized, wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about refusing to let them define you at all. Weeks after the wedding, life settled into a new rhythm. Ethan called more often, cautiously, learning to listen instead of assume. Vanessa sent a brief note apologizing for past coldness. Not perfect, but a start. Even my father, once rigid and unyielding, began checking in, asking questions that weren't just about appearances. Lily noticed too. Her laughter returned fully, unguarded, and she would sometimes curl up beside me and say, "Mom, we did it. We really did it." And I would hug her tightly, feeling the weight of years lift from my shoulders. I took a moment one evening to revisit the bracelet my mother had given me before I left. The one I carried through all the nights I doubted myself. The one that reminded me to build my own door. I clasped it on my wrist and whispered, "We did it, Mom. We built it together." Sitting in my office, now filled with the warmth of art, soft light, and the quiet hum of work we loved, I reflected on the journey. The pain, the sleepless nights, the moments when I almost gave up, they had shaped me. Not into someone bitter or vengeful, but into someone strong, self-respecting, and free. The family I had once feared lost still had a place, but it was on new terms. We were learning each other, slowly, cautiously, and I let them in only where it felt right. Boundaries were no longer walls to keep love out. They were doors we could choose to open. And Lily, my brave little girl, had learned what I had always hoped to teach her: resilience, dignity, and courage. I smiled, watching her draw in the sunlight by the window. And in that quiet, perfect moment, I realized something I hadn't allowed myself to admit before. I was proud, not just of what I had built, but of who I had become. I whispered softly, more to myself than anyone else, letting the words carry across the room. They once shut me out, but today, we walk out on our own terms. And with that, the past no longer had power over me.